People, we love to make things. To do it yourself. To DIY. In the attic, the basement, the backyard, and in front of a camera. And those camera DIYers, they've got something you'll like. From the TV studio to the studio apartment, they're making something up just for you. It's That DIY Show. Today,
it's picture perfect.
Alex Hayter makes some picture-perfect river coasters, and Viewer's Choice has pro tips you won't want to miss.
Hey, thanks for reaching out. Hold on to your seats.
What? I'm gonna take this piece of rock and roll history and turn it into a light. Just like changing an airplane tire. Ah, yeah, coming!
A solo upcycling project, a hot new phone from the hive mind, and going behind the veil with a tree-hugging woodworker.
We like to be really creative with what we do and make those pieces that people will remember.
A nature-inspired woodworker, a snare drum chandelier, and more. But first, we're off to the loft on That DIY Show.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Alex Hayter. Today I've got this old candle holder that I had in my previous apartment, and it's just not working with the vibe of my new spot. So I'm going to turn it into brand new, fresh coasters because I keep ruining my tables with all of my coffee and my wine that I've been drinking, so I think it's a good fit. With a little bit of colored epoxy, I'm going to create a river effect in the wood, and it's going to make these really stand out. So we've got 6 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that clearly aren't going anywhere, so I have to work with them. So what I'm going to be doing is creating a river that will go kind of around the candle holders. But I can't go too far on either side of the edge because I don't want the epoxy to leak over. All right, we're good to go. The River Alex. Got my angle grinder with a flapper disc. This is gonna be a lot of fun. This is what will create the River Alex. I've got my gloves, I got clamps, and I've got my sweet, very fashionable mask here. And what I'm going to be doing is I'll clamp either side and I'll work with the middle first. So I'll get the middle of the river going. I'm gonna be really careful that I don't go close to the edge here with the grinder. So that's the only thing I'm a little nervous about, but I think I've got this. I'm gonna make the river pretty shallow to begin with, and then I'm just gonna make it deeper and deeper as I go. That's the plan. See how she goes. All right, mask is down, gloves are on. It's time. I found the best way to do this is you just move from left to right very gradually, so that way you don't cut too deep right off the get-go. Also, you're not going to burn the wood. So it's more of a gradual brushing process than just hacking away at it, and that way the river's gonna look a lot nicer. This is looking so good. I'm very proud of my river. I'm gonna start off just some old-fashioned sandpaper. I'll go throughout the riverbed with this, and I'm just going to get some of the burn marks off, just even out some of the little grooves that I made. Almost there. We know where this thing is. I'm gonna move on to the electric sander. So what I'll do now is just go over the surface just to make everything nice and pristine. The fun part is coming up next. We get to mix up some epoxy and finally put it in the river. But before we do that, we do have to tape up either end so that the epoxy obviously doesn't drip over. Let's epoxy it up. It's 2-part epoxy, so got hardener, resin, got 3 cups. I've got my blue dye. Got a blowtorch over here, but we're not gonna get there yet. And some gloves. Gotta put these on. I've marked off 2 cups so that they're both equal. And what I'm going to do is pour the hardener in one, the resin in the other. Yuck. Okay, let's pour them in. Here goes the hardener. I've got a stir stick here. I'm gonna be stirring for quite some time. You wanna go nice and slow when you're stirring this stuff. It gets pretty streaky, and I guess the goal is to keep stirring this until all of the bubbles are gone. Okay, maybe not all of the bubbles, setting the bar pretty high, but you want to get as many bubbles out of the cup as possible. Definitely not trying to agitate it, trying to go nice and slow, steady and smooth. Right, it's time to put some blue dye in. We are making a river, so I thought I'd go with blue, but you can go with whatever color you really want. Pink river would be cool. Probably do about 12 to 15 drops. Go for the more tropical look. All right, it's the big moment. So the key is here, I don't want to pour too fast. It will level itself out, but I gotta go slowly back and forth with the epoxy. I definitely went with the lazy river look, you know, the one that you'd sit in a tube and like casually float down. Oh, I can envision myself doing it now. This is where the blowtorch comes in. This is a really fun part because what the blowtorch does is I'm going to just quickly go over the epoxy and it just takes away those bubbles instantly. So it's really cool to watch. Cool. All right. It's crystal clear. The waiting game begins. We just have to wait for this to harden. And I can't wait to check it out when it's done. This epoxy cut's really, really cool. It looks like coconut shavings are just flying out of the chop saw. I love the way these coasters turned out. They're so unique, and I love having things in my house that I know nobody else in the world will have, and these are definitely one of those. The only thing that I would change if I was to do this over again is I'd get a little more creative with the epoxy. I mean, now I know what I can do. I know that I can do the basics, but maybe, you know, you could add some sand there. It would look more like a river. You could, I don't even know, you could add little rubber frogs in there. Just do whatever you want to make it really fun and make it your own. A beautiful set of custom coasters made from upcycled materials. It's picture perfect.
We've got hands and we've got plans. What more do you need? It's That DIY Show. From bright ideas all the way to dark workshops. It's That DIY Show. Ready transmission.
A lamp made from a snare? What? Hi. Snares? Don't they catch rabbits? Wait, forget the snares. I'll do something with this drum. Genius! What? This? This is a snare drum? I'm gonna take this piece of rock and roll history and turn it into a light. Step 1, we're gonna remove the snare, the skins, and the damper. Step 2, wire it up. Step 3, add some chains. For a project this cool, I'm gonna need some things. But where are all my things? There they are. Electrical tape. I need new fresh drum skins. I need my snips. Gloves. And the light bulb. Ding! The light socket. Now it's time to take off the drum skin. But first, I'm gonna need a drum key. Just like changing an airplane tire.
Hey.
Oh, what's up, Jill? So, save the rim, and the screws, and frisbee. The skin. The snare has a little chain on it, which vibrates on the drum to give it that great snare sound. It is so cool, it's gotta come off. To remove this snare, we just take off a couple of screws. Easy peasy. Make sure to save them. I am coming! Now I'm gonna take out this little belt piece here, the damper. This is hardened steel, incredibly strong. I have clamped down the drum to make it secure so I can drill a hole in the piece that used to be the damper that I've now taken off. Ah! Woo, smoke! The light socket that I'm going to reuse for this project. I also have a little threaded piece with some washers on it. I love how fresh and clean these new skins are. Mom, are we there yet? Now what? I once inherited a lot of steel wool and I knit myself a wood stove. This is a lot easier though. That took me 3 years. I put a piece of duct tape here on the skin of the drum, which will stop it from splintering when I put a hole into it. Let's wire it up. Bzzz. Putting it through the little threaded piece that we put on earlier. Putting the wire nice and tight against the screw here to make a little wire sandwich. Wow, that's a really nice length of chain for a light. I thought that I had more chain around here though. Oh yeah, I was using it to hold down the thing. Haven't actually seen him in a while. Thing? Thing? Please come back, Thing. I'll use its natural call. Them townies ain't gonna like that, that's for sure. Yeah, the moment of truth. I'm gonna plug it in. I'm just gonna, come on. It works! What? I meant to do that. It's done! And it's perfect. Absolutely beautiful. Look at how diffused that light is. I really liked this project. It was relatively easy to do. It looks super cool. Maybe I would just use more chain to hold down the thing. But otherwise, this project was really great.
Everyone can create, but we can all use a little bit of inspiration. It's That DIY Show.
Hey Viewer's Choice, I have a tiny apartment and an even tinier deck, but I love a piece of furniture that I could use in the kitchen and outside to help save space. Got any ideas?
Hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm all about multi-purpose furniture. I have a nifty little idea that'll be perfect for inside and outside your place. And all we need is some pine, a tube of weatherproof glue, and a bucket of paint. I'm gonna take this 2x2 pine and head over to the chop saw and cut it up into all the pieces we need for the main structure of our stool. We're gonna end up with a 3-dimensional rectangle shape. Or I suppose you could call it a 3-dimensional orthotope, a right rectangular prism, a right rectangular cuboid. Or as the kids call it these days, a hyperrectangle, or a polyhedron. It's basically a cube, but like stretched. It's as simple as that. Three different lengths of wood. Let's see how this will all fit together. This looks about right. Just picture it standing up. I'm just gonna pre-drill and countersink all the holes we need, and then we'll put it all together. All right, check this out. See that? It's called tear out, and there's a really easy way to prevent it. Some painter's tape. You lay your tape down first, then you drill right through the tape, and the tape will prevent the tear out. The most important tip, slow down, take your time, make clean holes. It'll pay off in the long run. All right, now I just have to grab a driver with a Robinson head bit, some 2.5-inch screws, and this thing will go together real quick. All right, this is basically a stool, but I don't really think this square is quite suited for my precious bottom. It needs a seat. This piece should do. It's a piece of pine that's 1 by wide. I'll head over to the chop saw and cut it down to 11 1/16. I picked a medium dark gunstock stain for the seat. It's a lot more red than I thought, but I like it. We kind of match. Totally unintentional. Or was it? I'm satisfied with how this came out. Time to paint. Check out that color. It's pretty sharp. It's gonna go with that stain really nicely. When the colors you chose aren't really working out the way you thought they would, just tell people that it's a bold choice. When two become one. Hold on to your seats. It's a great little stool, perfect for in your kitchen or on your patio, by the campfire. You can do it all. The moment of truth. Will it hold me? It's the perfect indoor stool. I don't think I'm getting up. You guys can go home. I'm gonna be here a while. Seriously, take off. Just turn off the lights before you leave. All right, enough of this. I have this great workshop, all these cool tools, but you don't need that to do any of these projects at home. All you need is a little bit of creativity. So if you're looking for inspiration for a project, track down the Viewer's Choice team on the streets and submit your question. I'm always happy to help out.
Around the world and right around the corner, DIYers and master crafters have something to show and a story to tell.
I'm Jordan Brown, and I'm the owner and operator of Soul Furniture and Design. We do custom woodworking. We like to be really creative with what we do and make those pieces that people will remember. Do anything from tree houses, dining room tables, coffee tables, you know, you name it. And we're very nature inspired. It's To be able to just go in the woods and find a crazy log and work on that until it's something that you are happy with, it's a really good feeling. When I bought my first house, I bought some furniture to go in it, and it all started falling apart, and I spent good money on it. I said, I'm just gonna build my own. So I did, and I enjoyed that furniture for years. And then when I was moving out of the province, we put everything up for sale, and people came and they bought my furniture and they loved it. I have an idea, what if I built furniture and sold it? The freedom of being able to create the ideas that come into your head as a full-time job is a lot of fun. And it all starts right here. No, right here. It all happens when I get a phone call. Somebody has an idea, so I figure out some prices and material lists. Once the design is confirmed, then I get started. All right, do you want to come check it out? What we do differently here is we make our own slabs, as opposed to a lot of companies that cut down a tree, get it milled into slabs, turn it into a table. Very simple, you're relying on nature to do all the artwork. What we do is we put boards together to make any size slab that we want, and then we carve our own live edge. That's where the creativity really comes in, and it comes up differently every time. Everything gets sanded, cut, basically prepared for color. It gets sent out to the finishing shop where it gets stained and varnished, and if there's epoxy, then we do the epoxy out there at the same time. All right, so here's the epoxy. 2 parts. We have the resin and the hardener. It's 50-50. Fill it up halfway. Same with the other cup. When it comes to epoxy and wood, it's a huge learning curve there. It's a very scientific process at the start, and it's almost the same as a stain or varnish. You really start to see all the character highlighted by the epoxy. I like to play with the stain a lot, using different colors. When that stain goes on, all these vibrant colors and rich textures that you've never seen on the wood until the stain shows up. It's great to take the old ways of doing things and putting them in on a new, modern fashion. Style is always changing, but the techniques aren't always changing. Furniture used to be something that you take pride in and you pass down from generation to generation. What we do here is you come, you meet the craftsmen, you talk to them, you actually know what they're thinking and putting their personal touch on something that you're gonna buy, and you really come up with something that nobody else has ever seen before. I think that's what really sets us apart as Soul Furniture.